Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make a circular warp. The circular warp was made in Peru and it is based on scaffolding. So the entire process is based on scaffolding. I'll show you what the scaffolding means. Unlike the normal warps that we have, circular warps allow us to double. So it's warped in a U shape. So when we open it out, it allows us to double the length of the fabric, and it also allows us to get pure color in the warp. Scaffolding allows us to use discontinuous warps and have variations in the warp color in one fabric. So it's an entirely unique system that the Peruvians discovered and used in all sorts of creative ways, which the rest of the world never used. So now let me show you how it works. What we do is in a normal warp, let me show you the difference between a normal warp and a circular warp. In a normal warp, what we would do is we would just take the yarn and we would just wind it around and around. And so here, if we take this, we will have 4 threads and we would use all 4 threads here. See, 1, 2, 3 and 4. We would use them together and we would weave the entire length of the warp. We wouldn't be having this stick in the middle. And so the fabric would be not more than the length of this frame. However, in the circular warp, we have what is called a scaffolding cord or scaffolding stick. In my case, I've used a stick, which is easier to do this demo for you. So what we do is we come around, we loop the yarn around the stick. I'm going to do it this way. Go all the way back, come right back, and then loop the yarn around the stick again. Go all the way back, go around the stick, and do the same thing again. So now the Peruvians are the only ones. We talk about selvages very often, and selvages are normally just 2 selvages on either side of the fabric. But the Peruvians are the only ones who had what we now call 4 selvaged fabrics. And that is because they would use this technique where the ends of the warp threads were looped like this, and due to this looping, they were able to eventually just slip off this cord or stick and have it wind on itself to make fringes. So they would do fringes, they would use various techniques for the edges, the weft edges, or they would put extra fringes. So they had lots of methods to finish their textiles. Now I'm going to put this sheet of black paper in between just to show you how this works. Here you go. So we normally work in pairs. So if you see over here, I have 1 pair, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And if I go to the front of the frame, I have 2. So this is 1 pair, 2nd pair, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. And similarly here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 pairs. So we know that both front and back have the same number of ends. Now there was another technique that they used, which is interlocking the threads. So the threads would not go around the stick and be separate. They would be interlocked with each other. So let me show you how that works. So I go around, and then when I come back here, instead of going around the stick, I insert my yarn in between this loop that is created, and I interlock it. So it's interlocked over here. I come right back, go right back here, put my yarn around this stick, go all the way back, and then insert my yarn in this loop so that it gets interlocked. And this interlocking, so if you see, if I move these interlocked yarns, they move together. And so this affords us various types of ends of the fabric. And of course, the fabric can be woven right up till here, starting from over here, so you get a full fabric. Now, this method actually allowed the Peruvians to come up with not just rectangular fabrics, but also fabrics which are separated with scaffolding, or fabrics which had shapes, the stepped shape that we have seen in level 1 classes, where I showed you the stepped shaped fabrics which were tie-dyed and then stitched together. So that's very typically what they would do with scaffolding. So you can have just one scaffolding cord or stick, but you can also have several scaffolding cords and sticks, and that gives us lots of variations in terms of the shapes that we can get. Now, I'd like to show you how we can get variation in color of the warp, so that we can get pure color in the warp. In other countries, like in Asia, the way they would get pure color in the warp is by coming up with the technique of ikat. In Peru, they figured out that they could do discontinuous warps. So here I'm going to add a scaffolding cord in the front. And another one here. So this is our scaffolding cord. And now if I want to do two colors, I'm going to take two colors, one beige and one chine, which is again something that they figured out. By combining two colors, they get a chine effect. And this is a simple yarn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here. I'm going to do a loop around this cord, not too tight. Come right back and go around here. And the same thing over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do interlocked warp. So this is almost like having a single warp, and then at the back I do the same thing. I interlock the warp. So this is what it looks like, and so you would be able to get pure color on one half of the warp and pure color on the other half. you bring it a little close so that we see the color variation. And so if you look, we have a pure color on one half of this. I'm going to just bring this up. And here you can see this is all beige and this is the blue and beige chine. And so this is how they would get pure color. And warp-faced fabrics which had pure color were very, very successful in Peru. Okay, now we'll see some samples.